Welcome to the Fuller Homestead. We're a family of 4 who left the city life behind to pursue a calling on our hearts to raise and grow what we eat while cultivating a life that is intentional, meaningful, and connected to God. I'm Andrea, a homesteading, homeschooling mama of 2. Come join me as I take you into a glimpse of our daily life here on our 40-acre homestead in North Florida.
Today's pretty good.
I thought it would be fun to go ahead and bring you guys with me on my daily milking routine. So here I'm just gathering up my supplies to go out to the barn and milk the 2 Jerseys. Clover and Hattie both get milked every morning. So I'm getting 2 different trays for warm soapy water to wash them down. Each cow gets their own tray. And I pop their iodine teat dip cups on the pails. I'm just gathering up all my supplies. I use 2 different buckets. Right now, each bucket holds almost 3 gallons of milk, and right now Hattie is giving us almost 3 gallons, sometimes even over. And Clover is giving us about 2 gallons to 2.5 a day, so I need both cans. And I'm just waiting for my water to get nice and hot. Adding a little bit of soap in it. I like the doTERRA soap, that's what I always use. And then we're gonna go ahead and put some water on top and grab some washcloths that I just use exclusively for milking. Pop those in the water and head out to milk. We lost our feed barn in the hurricane last August, and since then we've kind of had a makeshift feed area in Matt's garage. Makeshift everything, actually. But we're currently working on getting a new pole barn up, so it's our next big project that's already underway. So we'll be out of this area before long, but for now, this is what we do, and this is how we get feed for our animals when we milk. So in the mornings, Clover gets a bucket, and so does Hattie. They're big eaters. Good morning, Bertha. Good morning. We We've been giving the pigs a little chaff hay in the morning, which is a fermented alfalfa. Really good for them. Okay, here you go. That's why they're going crazy. They like their morning treat. The babies like it too, huh? Ready to work? Yeah? Ready to work? Work or get breakfast one, right? Alright, so we're ready. We got feed cord, we got my buckets ready, we got my washing station all set up, and then we're gonna go get our cow. These boys are going to pasture today. That's exciting. Okay. Ready? Oh, let me get the bar down. Hold on, baby. Your stanchion was closed. They know their order. Clover respects it. Drop the bar so she can't back up, which she never really does, but just for precautions. And now we got our cow ready to milk. All right, Hattie Moo, good morning. Good morning, pretty girl. Hattie's a pretty big producer. She gives us between 2.5 and 3.5 gallons twice a day. So between 5 and 6.5 gallons a day, depending on her mood and what she ate the day before. All right, we're good and clean. This is just organic shea butter. That's what I use to lubricate my milk. Just put a little on each teat, and then you want to strip out the teats a little, just to make sure anything left over gets out of them. Wipe my hands with a clean rag. And we're ready to go. The milk that we get from our cows has literally been probably our biggest asset on the farm, honestly. Matt and I were talking one day, and we were talking about, like, if we had to get rid of all the animals and just keep one, like, what animal would we keep? We always talk about crazy stuff like that. And we decided, both of us, like, unanimously decided, and quickly decided, that the animal we would fight to keep would be the Jerseys. If we had to get rid of everything else, the one animal that we would want to keep is our Jerseys. And mostly because they give so much nutrients and richness. They just are the biggest providers on the farm, basically. Their milk we use to ferment feed for the chickens and for the pigs. So with their milk, the chickens are fed, the pigs are fed. With their milk, we are
fed. All of our dairy needs are met. We make cheese, hard cheese we're gonna start. I'm hopefully gonna start this year, but right now, as of right now, I make tons of mozzarella with the cheese, or with the milk. I make all of our butter with it. I haven't bought butter in almost a year. We make every cream that you can think of, so heavy whipping cream. I make my coffee creamer with it. Anything, buttermilk. Matt's making biscuits this morning. He used the buttermilk with the biscuits and butter. Our kids drink raw milk every day by the glassful, probably 2 to 3 glasses a day. I've never been a milk drinker myself like that. Like, I've never just like grabbed a glass of milk and chugged it daily. 2 or 3 times a day. I also grab a glass of milk and chug it. It is the most delicious milk. Oh my goodness, it's so amazing. Our cats can be fed on it, our dogs. Everybody loves milk. There's even 2 chickens that hang out in the barn, and they hang out in the barn because they like me to drop milk to them. And it's crazy. This is my Chickaletta, and she loves her milk. Everybody loves milk. It's nutrient dense. It's pure. It's whole. It's clean. It is so healing. It's gut healing. There are so many benefits of raw milk. In fact, underneath this video, I'll go ahead and drop a really incredible article from the Raw Milk Institute that I love to reference people to. Now that we're in it, we've been drinking raw milk for a year. This is a really special week because Clover dropped her first calf a year ago in the beginning of May. So we tried to get her bred back once by our bull. It was successful. She was pregnant, and then she lost the calf probably about 2.5, 3 months in. So typically she would have been bred back and even calved by now, her second calf, but we just took a little bit longer because she lost a pregnancy in between there. So she is bred, and she's due September 21st. We're gonna dry her up in June. Yeah, July. I think like early July we'll dry her up and give her a break for a little bit before she calves again. But it's a really special, monumental week for me because I have been hand milking a dairy cow, a Jersey cow for Clover Jean specifically, for a year. And it's really cool. It's so amazing. And that year has been crazy. Like, honestly, it's been a crazy year. We have milked through so much. When she first dropped her calf and we started milking, we did not have a barn. The barn was not here. We knew this was where the barn was going to be, but we had no idea. We didn't even start the barn yet. So when we started milking, it was a stanchion and just a stanchion, and there was no roof over our head. I milked in the rain. I milked in the extreme heat of the summer. It was crazy. And then we ended up putting a tarp over the stanchion just to give me some relief in the summer, because the mornings it would be 98 degrees in the morning already, just kicking, like hot, hot, hot. I would come in just dripping sweat after morning milking. So now I feel like so blessed and like just, it's been the biggest blessing ever to have like a roof over us and a barn to call them into. And that's life on a homestead. You just roll with it. You do what you can do when you can do it. And any time in between, you just kind of make it work. So the first time the vet ever came out, we didn't have even a stanchion. We just had a pasture for her. And the vet came out to check her the very beginning of having her, which was over a year ago, because she was just bred, and we wanted to make sure that she made the journey okay, because we got her from North Carolina and we want to make sure her baby was fine. So we waited about a month, and then we had the vet come out and palp her and make sure that she was still pregnant. And he pinned her she was amazing. I dropped a little bucket of grain, and all she did was eat her grain. We didn't have to fight her at all. But he took the gate, like if this is the fence line and this is the gate, and he kind of like wedged her in between it so he could get in, and she stayed put. And that was like how we got her to be, you know, palped by the vet for the first time. We didn't have anything, no infrastructure at all. And to know now, you know, a year later, how far we've come, it's really amazing. It's truly a blessing being out here now. Matt's incredible. Built the barn by himself from the ground up with very, very little help. He's just amazing like that. He planned it out. We collectively, you know, decide what we want. He draws it up and he makes it happen. I always joke and say that I'm the dreamer and he's the dream maker, because I dream it up and then he makes it a reality, which is amazing. So the milk is absolutely phenomenal. It provides so much richness, provides so much for the farm. So we use 3.5 gallons a day to ferment our bird feed and our pig feed. With that 3.5 gallons of milk, we've cut our feed bills in half, if not more than that, because the fermenting, so this is like a very full bucket of milk already. I'm gonna take a break and go ahead and pour it into one of our jar cans here. Hattie looks like is gonna have a big morning, because we're probably already at a little over 2 gallons and we still have quite a bit left in there. She's not anywhere near empty yet. So so pigs get the milk, chickens and birds get the milk, turkeys and chickens. We get the milk. We absolutely love it. If you can get one animal on your farm, you have a little homestead and you've got five acres, all you need really. I mean, honestly, a Jersey, the calf once a year, I would say 2 acres. Clover and Hattie are on a 4-acre pasture, and it is, you know, pretty much specified their dairy pasture because it's connected to the barn, because we don't really want to move them anywhere else that isn't connected to the barn. It would be a headache every day, seeing as I bring them in here twice a day. So I would say 2 acres for one dairy. Crossing it would be amazing, so you could rotate them, rotationally graze, and really improve your land and your pasture that they're on. 4 acres is really too big for them, and we would like to cross fence our pasture, our 4-acre pasture, at least a couple times, and shorten the sizes of the pasture so they can rotationally graze and improve the acreage. Their pasture is crazy. The grass grows out of control, and they don't really have enough drive. They don't really have enough power to eat it all. So it's kind of too big for them. We have the Nubians out there with them too. They get, they come in at night and they go to pasture every day, every morning. So they go out there and graze every day too, but they don't do damage really on the pasture. So cross fencing would be good, because we could intentionally graze specific areas, which is our goal. And will happen eventually, but it's on a list a mile long with everything else. There's always work to be done on a homestead, that's for sure. A lot of work. So anyway, milk, dairies, these dairy girls are our favorite. They're our favorite, hands down favorite animal on the farm. You know, the kids and Matt even probably have different animals that own their heart more. The dairies own my heart, obviously. I spend the most time with them. I'm the milkmaid here, and I love it. I absolutely love it. It's my peace, my tranquility. I get to look at a beautiful pasture every morning. I get to hang out with beautiful creatures, and I love it. I really do. They're so good. She's just standing here. I mean, dairy cows are absolutely, they're just miraculous animals, because it's like God just made them to be milked, you know? Like, they just know. I got both Hattie and Clover as heifers, which means they've never calved before. Everybody warns you against that, because I never milked before. So people are like, if you haven't milked a cow, don't get a heifer, because you'll have a rodeo training them and trying to get them in the stanchion and milking them. And let me tell you, I mean, the first couple milkings, of course, they're sore. Their udders are sore. Their teat is sore. They're very large. They're very, you know, it's just like a female if you've nursed your children. It's the same thing. You're sore. It hurts. It hurts to be milked. But once you get them past that and they realize, like, you're relieving them, they are so awesome. They just stand for you. They just stand. They're excited about it. They get a little snack in the stanchion and they get relief, and that's all they hear about, you know? So they're amazing, really amazing. Both of them did so phenomenal from day one, and they have just been the best cows, honestly. So both of them are A2A2, and the A2A2 world, man, what a world. It's a beta casein, which is basically they're either A1 or A2, and there's a bunch of different battles and research going on, and man, people could argue it for a million hours and whatever, never come to a conclusion. But it is believed that the A2 protein is easier to digest, which makes the people who are, you know, lactose intolerant or people have an intolerance to dairy, it makes it easier for them to digest. I'll tell you that if you read the article I'm going to post underneath this this video, it clearly outlines, you know, the difference between raw milk and pasteurized milk, grocery store milk. And just the bottom line is grocery store milk has depleted. They've taken a complete protein, which is raw milk. It's a complete protein, has all the parts to have, you know, make a full complete protein, and they strip it down and do what they do, because that's what the government does to everything, right? So they do what they do and they wreck it, and it turns into something that your body can't tolerate, you know? But it's not intended that way. That's not how God intended it. So raw milk in its true form is a complete protein, and it honestly is better for you than any pasteurized store-bought milk that you could get. And I think, you know, the debate, you can go back and forth with A2, A1 all you want. It wasn't so incredibly important to us to have A2 cows, but both of the cows that we got are A2, and it's probably better, as in more profitable. People seek it more, it's more desirable. But honestly, I would just argue that raw milk in general, any raw milk, is just amazing for you compared to man milk, which is grocery store milk, and what we do to it. So between, you know, the two, I would just argue that if you can get raw milk, if you can source raw milk, even if it's not A2, it's going to be night and day different and better for you than, you know, any milk that you buy at the store. So it's something that you definitely have to do your own research on and really figure out, you know, if that's something that you want. Jerseys are the highest butterfat content, so you're going to get really good cheese milk. So Jersey milk is good to make all of your dairy stuff with. You're going to get really good butter from them. You're going to get really good cheese. It's just a creamier milk. It's the creamiest, you know, milk you can buy. There's so many dairy breeds. So many. Brown Swiss, Guernsey, Jersey, Holstein, Shorthorn. There's all kinds of milking breeds, and people like them all for different reasons. I've always just been drawn to the Jersey because I think they're beautiful. They're the smallest Jersey. The Jersey is the smallest dairy breed, which obviously Hattie here is still a pretty big girl. Clover's a little smaller than Hattie, but Jerseys are the smallest dairy breeds. So they're a little more manageable on a small piece of property. They don't take as much grain. They don't take as much energy to put into them. And then there's also like a big fight about grain-fed dairy versus grass-fed dairy. And it's not really a fight. It's just like a, you know, different people have different beliefs, and really the bottom line is God made ruminant animals, cattle. Excuse you. Excuse you. Guinea. Guinea. Those are our guinea hens. 2 of them at least. They're eating the grain that Hattie drops out of the trough, and they're so obnoxious, but they're amazing. I love the guineas. They're one of my favorite animals on the farm. They're crazy, but they're watchdogs, so they sound an alarm whenever they think there's danger. Sometimes it's legitimate danger. They eat their weight in bugs every day, and bugs that are like not good. So ticks, fleas, things that you don't want on the property. They'll eat small mice. They'll eat small snakes. Like they're awesome. So, and they eat their body weight every day. So we have 7 right now. We currently just hatched out our first 2 little baby guineas from our eggs from our flock, which is really cool. And we'll keep doing that, you know, hatching more out and probably end up selling some of them or whatever. But they're really cool. We absolutely love them. Hattie, are you all done, baby? She likes to take her time. Meanwhile, Clover's like, hello, somebody gonna milk me? All right, so go back to what we were talking about. Oh, grass-fed versus grain-fed. So basically, this is another man-made issue. Obviously, God created ruminant animals to turn grass into milk, butter, cheese. Like, that's the point. In fact, like a calf's stomach has something in it called rennet. And when you make cheese from your milk, you use rennet you could either use vegetable rennet or you can use animal rennet, which comes from the stomach lining of a calf, I think. Which is really weird. I don't know. I always think to myself when I'm making stuff now, I think to myself like, how did somebody find that out? Like how did man find out that rennet, which is like a liquid in a calf's stomach lining, how did they find out that created cheese curds? Like it pulled the curds from the whey. Like how? What? It always like just blows my mind. How did it even come up with? Anyway, when you make cheese, you use rennet to separate the curds in the whey. Rennet is found in a calf's lining. So the point God created, the whole point is that it's God created the noisemaker. Excuse you. Hello. You're okay. Danny. So God created these animals to literally eat grass, right? Eat grass, graze, and then their babies drink their milk and their babies turn their milk into cheese into their stomach. So they turn the milk that these cows produce into cheese, which is a solid substance to feed them and sustain them, which is just like phenomenal. Like God is so amazing, always just like blows my mind. But there you go. So these animals were created by God to turn grass into cheese, basically. And to make amazing and incredible milk in the process, you know, it's rich and full protein and all of the things. So what man did is we said, oh, well, you don't produce enough, you know, because that's what men do, right? Okay, you guys want out? Man almighty, you are loud. Come on, get on out of here. So we decided oh, good. One's out. Let's go. So we decided, well, I just don't think they produce enough. Look at these goats. They're going to pasture soon, but they're so funny. Lemon, you're so funny. You're so funny. Come on, Guinea. Get on out. Get on out. Okay, good. You can fly too. See, you can fly. It's so easy. Next cow's in the stanchion, and we're ready to go with Clover. Okay, so back to grass-fed versus grain-fed. Man, in general, forgot to lower her bar. In general, what we've done as men, humans, is we've decided, you know, we can never have enough of something. It's never enough. So we decided, no, we need them to produce more. How about we insert, you know, corn into their diet or grain, you know, something that isn't natural for them. But let's insert it and see what they do and see if they... Clover really likes to whip me with her tail. It's like one of her favorite things to do. So y'all will get a really good view of that today, I'm sure. So we created this, you know, beast basically. and we created a cow who's been bred for generations and generations and generations at this point to need grain, to need it. And the bottom line is now, unless you get a genetically grass-fed cow who has been on grass for, generationally on grass, which they do make. They're very expensive. They do make, God makes them. That's the original, the OG, right? But, they're out there still. And there's some farms that really make a priority to have grass-fed animals. And honestly, Matt and I would like to be that farm one day. We would like to have grass-fed animals. It's just for sustainability, honestly, because you saw all the feed that they get. On average, they say that you should give them on average 3 pounds of grain to a dairy ration, which is a high protein, dairy ration, that you should give them 3 pounds of grain to every gallon of milk they produce. So Hattie, if she's producing, 7 gallons a day, 6 to 7 gallons a day, she would be getting, 21 pounds of grain a day, which is, thanks, Chloe, which is a lot. It's a lot of food. 50-pound bag, we go through it in a day and a half, around here. So I think that it would be amazing to have a grass-fed dairy program for sustainability, for longevity, for making sure that even if we can't secure grain anymore, because let's be real, our world is going, in that direction. And if we can't secure it, if it becomes hard to secure, if it becomes astronomical to obtain, then we would be able to still do it, still have dairy, still function. But the harsh reality of Clover and the harsh reality of Hattie is that if we transition them now, taking this animal who has been, given grain for generations, and we transition them to grass, the harsh reality is we're gonna have an emaciated cow who isn't gonna be able to really put on weight like they're supposed to, maintain weight like they're supposed to, and they'll go downhill. They'll go downhill pretty quick. So our cattle that we have, Hattie and Clover, they are grain fed, and they have been grain fed for generations. So what we decided was the best that we can do for them right now is to make sure that the grain that they do receive is really good whole sourced grain, So we went, looked far and wide all over the place, and we actually source our grain right now from a farm in North Carolina. And it's all non-GMO certified. They do testing quarterly on all of their grains that come into their feed. And if they find any sort of trace of, any spray or anything that isn't organic, isn't full, whole, then they cut ties with that company, basically, or with that farm. And it's all locally farm grown and raised, all of the grain that they source. So it's a really good company. We're really happy with them. And, we had to do a lot of research and took a lot of hours to find something that we feel good about giving our animals. Because ultimately you are what you eat, and you are what you eat eats. So whatever Clover and Hattie eat, that's what we're consuming in their milk. Whatever our beef cattle eat, that's what we're consuming in the beef that we eat with them. From them, pigs the same way, chicken the same way, everybody's the same. So we're gonna, here on our farm, it's very important to us that we source the best possible feed if we're having to supplement with anything else, Normally my head is turned this way and I'm in here in the cow, so I get it on the side, but this is a full face wiping today, and it's awesome. It's really awesome. So, jeez. Clover Jane, don't do it. Don't do it. So grain is how we're going now, because that's what our cows are used to, and we want to do right by our animals. And at this point, doing right by our animals means grain feeding them, unfortunately, because they have been for so many generations. We will look into grass-fed. We already have, honestly, looked into grass-fed, and we are currently continuing to. I've done so much research because I just think it's better. I think however God intended it is the best. I really do. I mean, that's what we believe. That's what we feel in our hearts, that however God really intended it to be and how, he meant it from the beginning is by far the best. But yeah, they have been ultimately the biggest blessing for us, honestly, and hands down the one animal on our farm that provides the most for us. Out of one dairy cow, you could breed her yearly and get a calf. If you got a steer or a girl, honestly, you could take that calf, you could raise it for beef for your family. So in a Jersey, one, or not a Jersey, any dairy, okay? So in one dairy cow, a family milk cow, you could get a calf every year that could go to the freezer for your family for beef. You could get milk. You can get all of your dairy handled. You can also take any extra milk you get and you can feed it back to any other animal on your farm. So if you have chickens, if you have pigs, if you know, even your cats, your dogs, everybody can consume the dairy. So I think that hands down, if you're starting a homestead and you want one animal, get a family milk cow, because it's amazing. They're amazing. And they're going to give you, especially if you want sustainability, you know, if you're trying to self-sustain, then sustainability wise, they're going to give you the biggest bang for your buck. Now, they're a little bit more upkeep, obviously, because they're a big animal. They're a little more needy because you have to milk them twice a day. You don't have to. There's two different ways that you can go about your cattle, your dairy, your family milk cow, okay? There's two different ways. You can pull the calf or you can calf share. Those are your two options. If you pull the calf, you have a bottle calf on your hands and you have to then bottle that calf. You are the sole one responsible for the life of the calf, and you're the sole one responsible for milking out your milk cow. And if you don't milk her out twice a day, every 12 hours, then a lot can go wrong. You know, she can get mastitis, she can get something called milk fever, she can get ketosis. There's a lot of different problems that can occur if you're not actively, you know, being proactive and taking really, really delicate care of your cow. Now, on the same side of that, if you calf share, there are also things that can go wrong. We had a friend who calf shared, and her calf was crazy, and her mama, the calf would get out of pasture all the time, and she was just a little wild thing. And the mama cow wouldn't let down at milking. She only wanted to hold her milk for her calf. And so they were getting very, very little milk. And what milk they were getting had no cream in it, wasn't really, you know, the best contents, because they were, you know, she was holding that milk for her calf. And they're like, duh. I mean, wouldn't you want to do the same thing for your baby? So their natural instincts kick in, and sometimes, you know, they can hold back their milk. A. B. Sometimes they can get mean, you know, because their first priority at that point would be taking care of their babies. So I've heard stories of cows who come at their owners, you know, and they're like, oh my gosh, she was the sweetest cow before. We had the best relationship, and then she had a baby, and, you know, now she wants to kill me. And it's because she is protecting her baby fiercely, you know, and that's her job. So, but then you have other relationships where you calf cow share, and it's beautiful. It's this beautiful, amazing working thing, you know. I think in most cases it's a beautiful bond, you know. The cow gets to milk her calf. You have a built-in backup basically to milking. Like, you have a built-in professional milker on your hand, the calf. So if you need to go anywhere, if you have an obligation, if you can't milk twice a day on the 12-hour every single day, you have a calf that's going to do that for you, which is phenomenal. Like, that's amazing, you know, and it's very appealing. And you could potentially skip a milking, you know. The downside of your beautiful life with your calf is that most people, when the calf reaches a certain point, they'll pull the calf at night because they want to, you know, at least get one good milking out of their cow. So they'll pull the calf at night. The calf won't milk off the cow for the whole night. And then they'll come out in the morning, milk the cow, and then return the pair together. And the biggest thing that I've heard is that that separation at night is pretty tough. Like, you know, it just takes, you know, 20 or 30 minutes to sometimes corral the calf into the corral and get them in separate places, because you're literally separating a mom and a baby, and it's every night thing, and it can get a little a little tedious and a little redundant and a little, hard just in general. It just takes time and it's a little aggravating or frustrating. So I've heard that that's the biggest thing. Another thing for us, the reason why, what we chose, we choose what we do here is we pull the calf. That's what we do. It's not easy by any means of the imagination. The first 24 to 48 hours are horrendous. I cry every single time because if you're a human and you have a heart and you're a mom on top of it, it's hard. It's hard pulling a baby from its mom. But we got both of our girls as heifers, meaning they'd never calved before. They don't know what it's like to have a calf on them. They've never raised a calf before. So essentially, I feel like it's a little better because they're not like, I don't know. Yes, we're taking the calf from them. Yes, it's awful. And yes, a lot of people probably will be like, why are you doing that? That's horrendous. You're not giving them, a good life or whatever. But I assure you, we are giving them a good life. They're very happy. They have each other and they have an incredible bond. And our number one reason for pulling the calf, honestly, was cleanliness, safety, sanitization. That's it. That's the number one reason. That's the reason why at the end of the day we chose what we chose. I read a million different studies, and there's a lot of things that can go wrong if you are calf sharing. One of those being the cow can get, more dirty, basically. If they have a calf milking off of them multiple times a day when you're not present, a calf's orifice, which is on the end of their teat, which is where it opens for the milk to come out of, and that orifice stays open for 30 minutes after a cow milks, after it's milked out, or after a calf is milking off of that cow. It stays open for up to 30 minutes. Now, in that time, a cow can do all kinds of things. They can go lay and poop. They can lick themselves, kick themselves because they're like getting itching a fly off or something, and they can get poop into that orifice. And that's what causes, most of the time, bacterial mastitis. And it can be very painful for the cow. They can ultimately lose a quarter. There's just a lot of things that can go wrong, And we didn't want that to happen. And has it happened? Yes. Clover, she's a little bit finicky, and she has had a couple bouts of mastitis since we've had her. So it can still happen even if you pull the calf. I'm grateful that we did pull the calf because I think it would have happened a lot more with Clover, especially if we had left the calf on her. Another thing that can happen is ultimately our goal is to create, if these cows drop baby girls, we want to create future family milk cows for other families. And we know that the best thing is to have your hands on a cow and them to be, comfortable with you. So I think when you bottle feed a little baby girl calf and you're raising her up to be a future family milk cow, I think it's a lot more beneficial if they're, she's bottle feeding and she's used to people versus not being, both Hattie and Clover were bottle fed and they're phenomenal cows. Now there's the side of the story, our choice is not the only choice. It's like when people are like, breastfed is best. Well, no, a fed baby's best, And yeah, of course, sometimes, is it, maybe there's an argument for nutritional content and everything else. It's like raw milk versus pasteurized milk, grocery store milk. Yeah, obviously breastfed milk, breastfed babies, breast milk is the way God intended it. But what happens when the lady doesn't produce breast milk? Or what happens when, there's just so many different scenarios that come into play. And ultimately, a fed baby is best. A baby that's, taken care of. And we feel the same way about the cattle. Like our decision, our farm's decision doesn't have to be anybody else's decision. You can make your own decision, you do your own research and figure out what's best for you and your family. I'm home with the kids. I homeschool. I'm a stay-at-home mom. And I'm a full-time farm hand now, I guess. I don't know. It's weird to even say it. But I am. And so for us, that was an easy choice. Our babies are good. We put them in the pasture. They're growing out phenomenally well. We actually get to continue giving them milk way more than we ever would if we kept them on the moms, because on the moms, we'd probably pull them about 8 weeks, especially for little boys, because they can breed their moms after about 10 to 12 weeks. They'll be ready, they're ready to roll, boys, no matter what. So we have to pull them, pretty early. But right now, Brisket, who Hattie had Christmas Eve, so December 24th, he's still getting bottles. We give him bottles still. And he's like pushing 5 months old. So we can do that because we bottle him. And I'm like, hey, we have the milk. Let's just give it to him, And he's a sweetheart. Is he always going to be sweet? No. Are they 1,400 pound animals? Yes. So you always have to take caution. And, there's always two sides of the story. Always. But that's what we chose, and a little bit of why we chose it. We wanted a nicer mama. We wanted a mama that bonds to us and not to her baby, for safety, honestly, and just for cleanliness, so sanitization practices. And I just figured, might as well, I feel like at some point it's going to be a struggle when you're pinning that baby and taking away from its mom every single night. It's kind of a struggle every night, my heart would tug every night taking a baby away from its mom. So one way or the other, farming's hard. It's just hard. You make hard choices and you live in them, and they're your own convictions, and you do what you do that's best for your family. And that's what we chose for our cows. And it's worked really well. We got Hattie because we needed milk full time. And Matt and I both realized that. And so we decided to get Hattie because of that. But also B, because Clover was with the goats and she loved the goats, but she needed a person, a person. She needed a bovine. She needed another bovine. And the bond that they have and the relationship that they formed is it's honestly just beautiful. It's really beautiful. So Clover is just so much happier. You can just tell because she has a friend. They're constantly grooming each other. They lay by each other. They're friends. They play, they jaunt, they jump around the pasture together. They're happy. They're happy cows. And you know that by their condition, you know that by their coat, you know that by their demeanor and how they act with each other. And that's what you want. You want happy animals, because happy animals are the only way to homestead. You don't want to raise animals that aren't happy or aren't getting their needs met. So it's been really cool and beautiful to watch Clover kind of come into her own with another bovine. And that's been something really amazing. And so we'll never not have two, never. And we might have more because I love them. They're my favorite. And it's going to be really hard not to just continue to add to our herd, honestly. So that's my dairy spiel, I guess. Long-winded, drawn-out dairy spiel. And if you have any more questions, feel free to shoot us a message and ask about it, comment or whatever, and I'll, answer everything I possibly can. One thing I did not show with Hattie, but I wanted to mention, just so everybody knows, is that after milking, we teat dip our cows, and this is iodine, and it just ensures that orifice I was talking about is completely cleaned at the end of milking. So when we get done milking, we dip every teat in the iodine before we release them and turn them back out to pasture. So that's just the end of our practice. So anyway, until next time. I think a video that I'm going to post soon is going to be milk processing day, and I get so much milk and it's overflowing at times, so then I process it all, not all of it by any means, but I will process about 3 to 6 gallons, and I'll show you guys making butter, making cheese, doing all the things we do with the milk. So I think that'll be a good video to just kind of see from bringing the cow in the stanchion, milking the cow out, and then where it goes from there. So anyway, thanks for watching, and thanks for being a part of my milking routine every morning. And talk to you next time.